All right, this is part 3. All right, this is part 3 of the jerk series. We did video 1 on the overview of the jerks, basically talking about exactly how to do each movement, and then part 2 was all about the dip and drive portion, both how to do it and all the mistakes that are involved in that portion of the lift. Now this is part 3. We're going to talk about the catch and the recovery phase of both split jerks and push or squat jerks. All right, so again, if you don't know me, my name is Doug Larson with the Barbell Shrugged podcast. This is Alex Macklin. He's one of our Barbell Shrugged and Faction. This is Faction Strength Conditioning right here. One of our Faction weightlifting coaches as well. So again, we're going to talk about the catch and the recovery. All right, so we're going to start with the split. What I like to do when teaching someone how to do a split jerk is I like them to start right on a line. So if you can see on a vertical.
Come on, man. Turn the other way.
That's right. Face this way and stand on this line like this. There you go.
All right.
Okay. So what we're going to do is Alex, go ahead and jump and split just like you would normally. So you can see he basically split that line evenly. Okay, his front foot is a foot and a half or so forward. His back foot's a foot and a half or so backward. Okay, go ahead and recover. Front foot back foot forward, and he comes right back to the line. A very common mistake is that when people split, their front foot doesn't go far enough rather forward. So go ahead and do a split where your back foot goes normal, but your front foot is shallow. There you go. So usually when that happens, here, I'll try that. So what happens oftentimes is that when someone goes to split, their front foot doesn't go far enough forward. It looks like this. Okay? What that does is it makes all my weight on my front leg at that forward shin angle, and I'm not going to be as strong as if I had stepped way out here and bent my back leg a little bit more. I'm in a very strong position right here, but if I'm here, I'm not in a very strong position at all. Occasionally you even see someone whose front leg doesn't move at all, and they kind of just step back like this. Okay? They just go like that, and that's a terrible position to be in. So you want to split the line evenly. If I'm here, I want to be all the way to here. That wasn't even that exaggerated. I want to be all the way to here with that vertical front shin, come back, front foot back, back foot forward. So a nice wide step. Most people don't split wide enough. The wider you split also, the lower you're going to get, which means you don't have to throw the weight as high, which means you can go with heavier weight, hit higher 1 rep maxes because you don't have to throw the weight as high, which means you can throw heavier weight over your head and catch it. All right, so the next thing is a lot of people don't, from the front, they don't widen their feet enough. They end up on a tightrope kind of. So you can see this line going right in between Alex's feet. First he's going to do it correctly. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of space between this line and his front foot, and there's a little bit of space between the line behind him and his back foot. So now if he does it incorrectly, he basically lands right on the line. So now he's walking that tightrope, and side to side, his balance is compromised because he just does not have a very big base of support. Side to side, he's going to lose his balance. So again, go and do it correctly one more time. In fact, a lot of times we'll put a stick right in between someone's feet like that. That way they know exactly where they shouldn't step. There you go, and that makes it easier to see as well. And then if they do step on it, they get instant feedback because the pipe's going to roll, and they're going to roll their ankle, and I'm going to be a bad coach, but they're going to get instant feedback and know that they shouldn't be that narrow next time. Another common problem is that people's back leg often stays straight, and then their back foot will turn out usually at the same time. And then even the third thing that usually happens in that case is they'll hyperextend their back. So if Alex does a good split first, again, you can see his back foot, he's on his toe, it's all straight ahead. His back leg, or back knee rather, is bent, and he has a nice vertical torso with, if it has his hands overhead. You can see he's not hyperextended here. If he does it wrong this time, a lot of people will land, go and do it. You can see here, his knee is very straight, and then even oftentimes people will turn back. Go ahead and put your heel down. Like that. They'll land like this with a straight leg, and then oftentimes too, they'll roll the pelvis forward and they'll hyperextend their low back. So to really exaggerate that, they'll land like this. Okay. Okay, so what you want to do is, again, if Alex ends up in that bad position, we'll walk you through how to fix it. So go ahead and land with your back foot flat, toed out with that straight knee, hyperextended with your back. There you go, put your back heel on the ground. There you go. All right, so again, he's gonna have to get up on his toe, bend that back knee, sink your hips down just a little bit. That might be a little extreme. And then usually when you bend that back knee, you pull yourself out of hyperextension. This is probably actually a little bit narrow for Alex as far as how wide he splits in the real world, but those are the changes that you're gonna make to someone that's doing that exact thing. A lot of times when I'm gonna go this way. A lot of times if I split and I end up like this, and I'm hyperextended, this straight hip is the thing that's pulling all this forward, and that's what's hyperextending me. So if I can get on my toe, if I can bend that back leg a little bit, it makes it where this hip flexor isn't quite as tight, and I can pull my ribs down and roll my pelvis back, squeeze this glute, and then I can be very stable overhead, and I'm not in that funky hyperextended low back position, and I'm probably gonna be way less likely to hurt my back. All right, another thing is that, especially with new people, especially with lightweight, like when you're using a PVC and just a bar, is that people will do kind of a donkey kick type thing with their jerk as well, which Alex demonstrates beautifully. Go ahead and show that. All right, so basically what we're showing here is that instead of just going straight out, keeping your feet as close to the ground as possible, they're kind of coming to even do it way, way more exaggerated. Their feet are coming way up, just like you would pixie kick on it clean, okay? They're doing basically the same thing with their jerk. They're coming here, and they're going like that, okay? So you want to keep your feet as close to the ground as possible. Now you want to do one with the bar, and then you can watch his feet. So this is a good one. He's gonna slide his feet almost out into position. There you go, beautiful. So his feet really never came more than maybe 2 or 3 inches off the ground. They just went from where they were right out into position, and he never really had to like jump and kick. All right, so if Alex splits, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna talk about why we always go front foot back, back foot forward when we do the recovery portion of the lift. So if he splits, all right, so he freezes there. If he goes front foot back, back foot forward, you'll see the bar doesn't really move forward or back relative to the line, okay? It more or less stays right over the line. If he does it poorly, splits and simply steps forward. Now if he just steps forward, you can see he walks all the way up there. You know, if you have 300-400 pounds over your head and you're walking around with it, you have to be able to hold it overhead while it's kind of waving around in the wind like that. So it's better if you can go front foot back, back foot forward. That way it's just easier to hold the weight up, and it's easier not to drop it because it's not moving around at all. All right, so we're gonna talk about pushing your head through when you're catching the weight overhead. So if Alex racks the weight, so watch as he dips and he pushes his head through. There you go. So he has a vertical arm. You probably can see his ears from the side. What a lot of people do, go and recover and do it poorly. What a lot of people do is they actually will, even, especially if you have bad shoulder mobility and all the way overhead with poor shoulder flexion, you'll lean back a little bit and the weight will be in front of you. So go ahead and dip and then kind of lean back a little bit and press the weight out in front of you like an incline barbell press. Yeah, a lot of people lean back like that. A lot of times it's not necessarily a lack of effort or knowledge that does it. Again, if he's tight here, then he's gonna have to hyperextend his back and push the weight out in front of him in order to get a vertical arm. And he might catch the weight, but eventually he's gonna hurt something, whether it's shoulder, his back, or something else. So again, if that's your problem, obviously you need to stretch your shoulders and work on some mobility drills to get full shoulder flexion and external rotation, but that's for another video. So again, do it correctly one more time. Dips and drives, pushes his head all the way through. He's still looking forward. And he has that vertical arm, always a locked out elbow, and he locks his elbow out right as he catches. That way he's not pressing out the weight, which in the sport of weightlifting would be a bad lift. In CrossFit, it's kind of okay. All right, last little thing as far as head position, we talked about pushing the head through. This time we're gonna talk about on the dip, basically the bar is going right under your chin to right overhead, which means your chin's in the way. And if you've ever knocked your chin, then you already know that. I definitely have. The last time I did it in front of a whole group of people. So if you look at Alex from the side, he's gonna dip, and then as the bar passes in front of his face, he's gonna pull his chin back just a little bit, but he's not gonna slam his head back looking all the way at the ceiling, which some people when they're brand new to this tend to do. There you go, push his head through like we already talked about. Elbows are locked out, beautiful. This time he's gonna do it incorrectly, and he's gonna whip his head way back, way too exaggerated. There you go, that was a great exaggeration. All right, so that's how not to do it. Again, do it correctly one last time so you can see the difference. He's gonna pull his chin back while still looking more or less straight ahead, very subtle. There you go. Perfect.
You know I'm gonna put that Willow song.
I mean, what's the Willow song?
That song, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth.
Oh, not really. I thought Willow was a movie. And we're back. Alex was thirsty. He sweats a lot. All right, very last thing. We already talked about the split jerk. We're gonna talk about push jerk, power jerk, squat jerk, or any of those variations where you're not splitting. So again, if Alex does a quick demo, you can see the dip and the drive is all the same. Again, that's mostly on video too. The only difference is that he's not splitting his feet forward and backward. He's basically gonna widen his feet a tiny, tiny bit and land more or less right under his body. So if you come around to the front, you see Alex is going from basically hip, maybe hip shoulder width, and he might land slightly outside of shoulder width when he hops into this, this power position. So on that one, he went basically straight up and straight down. If you hop your feet out an inch or two, no problem. But what you want to make sure is that if you end up doing a full squat jerk, which, can you do a squat jerk? Alex didn't really build to do squat jerks, but we're going to let him try anyway.
Channel your inner kindred.
That was incredible. All right, so again, split jerking is going to be more common than power, push, or squat jerking for the majority of the population, especially if you're not really built to be a really good weightlifter. People that tend to do these other variations tend to have long torsos, very short limbs, and they can squat with a very vertical torso like it's no big deal. So for the most of your athletes, or for yourself more than likely, you're not going to have that body type. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But for the most part, if you have a short torso and long limbs, then you're going to want to split. If you have a very weightlifter, prototypical type body, is that a word? Is prototypical a word? Prototypically. If you're a prototype weightlifter, then maybe you can work on doing a full squat jerk, but most people, for the most part, aren't going to use it. Okay? But the principles are all the same. Lock out your elbows, knees out, just like an overhead squat, just your hands are closer on the bar, so you're going to need more thoracic extension, very upright, you're going to need more shoulder flexion, you're going to need a whole lot of ankle mobility to get into that bottom position. All right, so that more or less wraps it up. If you want to see the first 2 videos of this series, again, we have an overview video, we have a dip and drive video, which is part 2, and then this is part 3 on the catch and recovery. If you want to check out those videos, you can go to barbellshrugged.com, click on the episodes tab at the top of the page, and then click on TechniqueWODs, and all of our videos, are in the library on the site. We'll see you another day.